Welcome. Audible. Free audiobooks and tales. It's automatically dubbed in your language, has subtitles, and the subscription is free. Today, I'll read you a new Audible. Narrated by Amadriadi. Enter the author's magical world. Are you ready? Let's go. Audibles. Title: Marooned. Author: Nicola Baxter. Fantasy Tales. Narrated by Amadriadi. Pugnacious Pete, like most pirates, enjoys telling tall tales, drinking rough rum, and musing on the daring and devilish deeds, mostly fictional, he has done. But Pete likes one thing more than any of the above: treasure. At the merest mention of doubloons, Pete goes weak at knees. Now, there are two main ways for a pirate to get hold of the gleaming stuff. Both involve stealing, of course. But that doesn't matter to mariners with the morals of a shipworm. The first way is to find a big fat ship, laden to the gunwales, with gorgeous gold, and seize it by force. Considerable amounts of killing may be necessary. There is also a serious risk of being killed yourself. Big fat ships tend to have big fat forces on board. Pete isn't keen on being killed. In fact, he isn't keen on anything that will put him at risk in any way. He has, in the past, been careless to say the least about his body parts, hence the wooden leg, and he dimly realizes that a pirate who loses more than one limbs is likely to become an ex-pirate, not to mention an ex-person, pretty soon. So Pete has never vigorously pursued the seizing ship option. The other method of treasure retrieval is both easier and more difficult. It involves finding treasure that someone else has seized and hidden. Usually on a desert island, somewhere. You know? The kind of thing, a parchment map, and cross-marking the spot. There's often no Pete and Trevor go back a long way in the pirating business. Indeed, they both once sailed on the Adeline Acne, an ill-fated vessel that met its doom largely because of the combined efforts of Pete and Trev to save it. However, more recent events, not unconnected with Pete's lack of limb, began a deadly enmity between the pirate pair. Pete and Trev have not exchanged a civil word for then years. Despite his perilous situation, treacherous, Trevor is not about to start now. "Let me on board, you scummy excuse for a seaman," shrieks Trevor. "Not in a million years," growls Pete. "And not tomorrow either." A look of low cunning comes over Trevor's foul face. "I've got something interesting here," he chants in a sing-song voice. Pete is disgusted. But he can't help himself. "What is it, wormbrain?" he charmingly inquires. Then, treacherous Trevor waves what looks very much like. "Surely not." "Yes, it is something resembling a treasure map." There follows one of those you throw it up first, no take me on board first, conversations that can go on and on. Frankly, life is too short to trouble ourselves with that. All you need to know is that 4 hours later, I told you, they can go on and on. Pete and Trev are sitting down at the captain's table and peering at the map. Neither of the two nefarious ne'er-do-well wants to let anyone else in on the secret, so it takes them a terribly long time to locate the treasure island on Pete's sea charts. Even then, it's hard to be sure they have the right one. Luckily, it's not far away. "Here's the plan," says Pete. "You and I will land on the island and find the treasure. Then, we'll bring it back on aboard when it's dark and share it out. The rest of the crew need never know anything about it." "Good idea," says Trevor, sweetly. "If the police exchanges makes you suspicious, you're dead right." That afternoon, pugnacious Pete can be heard causally telling the bosun to anchor by a small, faintly familiar island, and to break out the rum for the entire crew. The bosun can hardly believe his ears. But Pete's plan, for once, works like a dream. By the middle of the afternoon, no one is in any state to notice two greedy gold seekers creeping down the gangplank and onto the shore. "Which way now?" hisses Pete, for treacherous Trevor has the map. This way, squeals Trevor, plunging into the undergrowth. Within 30 seconds, Pete is alone, lost, and livid. Pugnacious Pete settles down under a palm tree by the shore. He tries hardest of all not think about treacherous Trevor, creeping ever closer to some perfectly good treasure that should by rights, well, by wrongs, belong to only one person, Pugnacious Pete himself. Pugnacious Pete doesn't find thinking easy. He finds not thinking even more difficult. Just when his brain has reached a degree or two below boiling point, it suddenly has another thing to worry about. Boink! Something very large and very hard hits Pugnacious Pete's heated headpiece. Meanwhile, in a cave not a million miles away, treacherous Trevor is puzzling over his treasure map. He feels sure that it will lead him to a chest positively overflowing with florins, drowning in doubloons, piled high with pieces of 8. If only he can work out which way up to hold it. In the brains department, treacherous Trevor is only slightly less challenged than Pugnacious Pete. He creeps out of the cave with a dim thought that he can find out which way is up by looking at the sun and his watch. It is a pity that he doesn't actually have a watch. He also hasn't considered that, while he has been pondering over his parchment, night has fallen. Suddenly, Trevor doesn't feel terribly happy about being in the dark on an unknown island. Without trying very hard at all, he can hear a horrible screeching sound from somewhere near his bare toes. Trevor, for the very first time in his life, begins to wish that Pugnacious Pete is by his side. A second later, all thoughts of Pete fly out of Trevor's brain as he hears the grunting and screeching of a monstrous beast crashing through the undergrowth. It sounds like a dozen rhinos rushing to the attack. Whimpering, Trevor turns to flee back into his cave. But in the dark, he can no longer see it. Instead, he runs smack into a palm tree and clings to its trunk, making pathetic sounds and shivering like a jellyfish. The beast is bellowing. It is thrashing through the trees. It is only inches away. It smells ghastly. It is Pete. As the moon struggles through the straggly clouds, Trevor and Pete recover from the shock of their collision. In a surprising short time, Pete's pounding and pudding-sharp mind is back on the business in hand. "Did you find it?" he hisses. "Find what?" asks Trevor, attempting a casual whistle. Pete takes him by the collar and demands to see the map. "The map?" asks Trevor, holding up his empty hands. Clearly, the map has been dropped somewhere in the trampled undergrowth. Equally clearly, or rather, equally unclearly, moonlight is inadequate lighting for a fingertip search. "There are lanterns on the pimple," yells Pete. "Come on." But there is a problem. In leaving a ship in the charge of a bosun, too drunk to notice if the captain is present. Sometimes, just sometimes, such a bosun might take it into his head to set sail. New story in the next chapter. Don't miss it.